We're standing on the banks of the Kennebec River, which is one of Maine's great rivers, and we're just at the edge of Augusta, the state's capital. And we're at the site where there was a large dam, the Edwards Dam, and it was here for 162 years, and then it was removed in 1999. The dam was built in 1837, and it was here at this site across this stretch of river, about 1,000 feet, and it served as the head of tide dam. This was the first dam that you come to as you're coming up the river, and it was here for most of the last century and a half. The dam was built here in Augusta, as many dams were built in the early 1800s for the purpose of generating power to power the emerging industries of the time. Some sawmills, a grist mill, textile mills, and other forms of factory operations. The dam was built mostly by immigrants, French Canadians and Irish, who came and it was hard work, and it required a lot of labor, and there were some casualties in the process of building the dam. That immigrant culture stayed and settled in this community and worked in the mills and continues to this day to be part of the heritage of the Augusta area. Well, over the last 100 years, this river has gone through a tremendous change. So in the late 1800s, it was still fairly clean water. By the 1960s, it was completely polluted. There were industrial paper mills upriver that were using this river for just raw sewage. And it literally had brought this river to the brink of death. With the passage of the Clean Water Act, the river started to get cleaner through the 70s and into the 1980s. And because this mill was providing electricity and no longer connected directly to the mill, and there was lots of other ways to generate electricity, people started to realize, well, this dam isn't that important for the city of Augusta anymore. It's not connected to the mill, and the mill doesn't have as many jobs anymore. And the river is starting to get cleaned up. And people realized if we remove this dam, we might be able to really reinvigorate the life of this river. And so in the late 1980s and through the 1990s, a growing coalition of people realized this would be really good for the economy of our community and for the quality of life on this river and for the state of Maine as a whole if we could remove this dam and enable really the rebirth of this river. So for about a 10-year period, our organization, Natural Resources Council of Maine, and a couple of others pursued legal action to secure the removal of the dam. Edwards Manufacturing was the dam owner. They only had a few employees. The dam was providing only 3.5 megawatts of electrical power. To put that into perspective, that's 0.1% of the electricity of the state used by the state of Maine. So it's a very small amount of power. That small company was making quite a profit on that, but it wasn't really benefiting the state of Maine in any significant way. And so they were the ones that wanted to keep the dam in place. They had included the city of Augusta in the revenue stream of the dam. So the city of Augusta was inclined to keep the dam as well because they had somewhat of an economic benefit coming from the continued operation of the dam. Well, in the early 1990s, the U.S. Congress passed policy language that allowed the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission, FERC, to do a balancing of the environmental benefits and the economic benefits. So the environmental benefits of removing a dam versus the economic benefits of continuing to operate the dam and to relicense it. And this was kind of the test case. The first time a group of people came forward and made the case that the environmental benefits and economic benefits associated with that improved environment were more significant than what the dam operator was getting in terms of their private economic gain. And we won. It was such a big deal. The day the dam was removed, there were thousands of people on the banks across this river to watch that historic event of the breaching of the dam and the water flowing through the dam. It was the beginning of the removal of a dam for the first time in the nation's history where a decision like that had been reached at the federal level. The breach was on July 2nd, 1999. And the rebirth of the river, the environmental benefits, almost started immediately. Within a few months, there were fish up in Waterville, 18 miles up, that hadn't been there since 1837. And so there was striped bass going up, and there was river herring going up, and there was Atlantic salmon that were traveling up the river. And each year since the dam was removed in 1999, there's just been a progressively richer ecological system. There were a lot of doubters when it was being debated in the 1990s in particular. Some people thought, the fish will never return, and the river's always going to be the way it is, and no one really wants this to happen anyway. Well, those doubters have actually, many of them have turned into big advocates, and the benefits have been significant for the town of Augusta, for the people living on the river. People are now coming back to this river and paddling on it and swimming in it. And there was a time when people literally wouldn't put their toe in this river. The removal of this dam, I think, has demonstrated that nature will respond if given a chance. And the extraordinary rebirth of this river that just happened, it has exceeded our expectations.